Hello and welcome to My Mom's Bat Cave, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi.
Whoa.
It is Robbie Fox, and we are here for the Batman Week. I am with my co-host Clem, and with us once again is our friend Jose Youngs from MMAfighting.com to talk all things Batman in anticipation for the movie. It's hitting theaters this week, but some people have seen it already. Critic reviews are out. It's getting great reviews. It's got 87% certified
Wow.
fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, over 160 reviews. I'm going on Thursday afternoon. I know some listeners got into Tuesday fan events. Hopefully, they love the movie. I think Clem, you're going on Thursday as well. Jose just dropped the bomb on us that he's going to be in Vegas for UFC, so he won't be able to see it till Sunday. No spoilers, please, please, no spoilers, everybody. Jose, how we doing?
I'm great, man. I'm actually genuinely excited for this movie. I think some of the Marvel movies sneak up on me just because it's not really in my. It's not the MCU isn't always on my mind, but Batman specifically, I've been waiting for this to come out for a hot minute, so I'm pretty excited.
Clem, how we doing?
I'm doing great. Jose's just in the basement. Like we didn't even like put the blankets away and the pillows. He slept over. He's here, and we just keep him here. I absolutely love it. And the people love Jose. That is the one thing we've heard loud and clear every time, even after the Moon Knight preview, review, whatever you want to call it. And I had to tell you this, Bob. I had to tell you on the stream live. I'm going on Tuesday night because I am the biggest Batman fan in the basement right now.
Wow, look at you, man!
Wow, Clem's gonna see the movie 2 days before me, and then as soon as I see the movie on Thursday, we're gonna record like a recap podcast immediately, so you guys will have it on Friday. So hopefully, like everyone that sees it will be able to listen right away. We're gonna try to crank the content out this week for you.
Damn, look at you guys.
So, Jose, I got to ask you right off the bat. I know where Batman stands in Bob's world, and you kind of alluded to it. Is like Batman number one with a bullet? Did he get into comics, or are you like where is he in like the power rankings in the Jose Young's world?
The first comic book I ever received from a comic book store outside of like my uncle like giving me some of like his hand me down. So I guess the only my first comic book was the Batman Adventures, which is like the Paul Dini run, which is based off of Batman the animated series. It was specifically a Scarecrow one. I don't remember the story. I'm sure I still have the floppy somewhere sitting in my mom's attic back in Rhode Island. But yeah, to say Batman is the reason let me rephrase. Batman basically taught me how to read. The first book I ever read by myself was the Mask of the Phantasm graphic novel. It was just the graphic novel of the movie, which I would put as one of the 5 greatest Batman movies ever, live action or animated. So yeah, and if you look at the shelf behind me, I try to organize it a bit, like between like Marvel, DC, like oversized and everything. There's about 3 shelves dedicated to just Batman. So to say I'm a big Batman mark would be an understatement. Like Batman's my guy in the DC world.
I absolutely love it. And I love that you're like looking forward to this because as you've mentioned in some of the other episodes you've done with us, like you're not rushing to the theaters to see every MCU movie. You're not rushing to the theaters to see every comic book movie. What is it about this Batman where you're like, no, that's going to fucking rule?
Well, I think I like Robert Pattinson as an actor. I didn't hate the casting. I'm a big fan of Zoe Kravitz. I would have been a little miffed if it was just another Joker retelling because like I personally think we're a little burnt out of Joker content in general, not just the movies, but the comic books, the toys, the video games, everything.
And I'm a huge Joker fan. My number one Batman villain without a doubt. My number one comic book villain without a doubt. But we're a little burnt out on the Joker.
Yeah, I'd probably put him dude, don't even get me started on that. Yeah, I'd probably put Joker number 2. Just superhero or comic book villains right behind Magneto. Him and probably Dr. Doom tied for second. But yeah, I just was I was burnt out of Joker content. I'm a big fan of all the villains that are specifically going to be in this. And then when I saw the trailer, I was very excited for this iteration of Selina Kyle. This is, I think, the more fascinating aspect of her backstory, one of the many. I like twists on established characters. Like if you've read the comic book The Joker or just Joker by Brian Azzarello, I really enjoyed that iteration of the Riddler. It was one that I had not ever seen, and It's not the one I've seen in the trailer. I think this Riddler is completely different than what we've seen in the comic books. So I'm generally excited to see a new wrinkle in that mythos.
And they're saying this Riddler, the look at least, is based on the Zodiac Killer. They're thinking
Yeah.
maybe the actions as well will be inspired by like the Zodiac Killer in a new age with social media and technology and stuff.
Yeah.
That sounds like a cool twist on the Riddler, like making him that crazy, demented serial killer who nobody caught after all those years. And then you combine that with the fact that they're literally comparing this to like David Fincher's Zodiac detective movie.
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, the story, the tone, everything kind of meshes. Like, Clem, you're pretty excited for this as well, right? And you're not even super big into DC or necessarily the dark grittiness, but it seems like you're as hyped as we are.
Yeah, so and I love how a lot of the comic book like diehards like you guys, it seems like Batman always has that special place in their hearts, especially around like I think your guys' age and a little older. I think like maybe the people older than me, like the RAs of the world, Superman, because he had that run with the movies back when they were kids. I was too young for that. I kind of missed out, but you know I grew up with the Keaton, right? You know that was my first Batman, and kind of going like you guys said with the Joker. Let that Joker breathe for another fucking 20 years. I'm fine with that being the Joker in all of our heads for a very long time. The fact that we're getting away, doing something different, gritty. Bob, you said Jose, when we found out that the bat suit with the bat on the chest was made out of the gun that killed the Waynes, Bob was he called it metal and he was freaking out. Like, oh metal. My God, it's the most metal thing I've ever heard in my life. And that got me hyped right on the spot right there. And then the cast looks absolutely awesome. And you said, like, we're getting a little grittier. I love that Gotham is gritty. We don't just have to like see smoking alleyways like we did in the 80s and 90s or whatever. I like that we can kind of have a modern twist on it. So I am extremely excited. And let's be honest, like DC has had a lot of flops in the past. Peacemaker was a fucking home run. Did you see Peacemaker, Jose?
I have not. I don't.
You'll
like it. I think.
Is that HBO? What is that on?
Yeah, HBO Max.
Yeah, it's like the one streaming service I don't have.
Oh, they got all the DC stuff too. They got some good Batman
know.
content on that there.
Yeah. After this is over, I'm going to send you the login details. You just go.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it.
But I was saying, I'm hoping DC could have like an 8-8 season if it was like an NFL season, you know, where it's going to be 500 based on Peacemaker and these early Batman reviews. I'm thinking like we're looking Cincinnati Bengals like 12 and like 11 and whatever it is, 6 record or something. I think this is going to be the thing that kind of pushes DC back into like, to be honest with you, relevance, right? Like there were so many years they were just kind of down and out, and the casuals like me wouldn't even go see the movie unless we heard from, you know, guys like you who are like, this movie's good, trust me. I'm extremely excited about Batman. So much so I'm going before Bob Fox to see the movie.
I know, I can't believe that. That's fucked up. I saw Clem sent me like, hey, did you know there's fan screenings on Tuesday? I did realize that. But I'm like doing podcasts Tuesday night, Wednesday night, so I can't make those. Let's go around and talk about our favorite Batman. So I grew up with the Adam West Batman. My mom would record all of the TV Land reruns for me on VHS and then label them by villain and put them in the closet. And then I would just like have all the villains at my disposal, whichever one I wanted to watch. Grew up a little later, loving the Keaton ones, specifically Batman Returns, as we did a commentary on that on this channel with my brother. We talked all about that. I even loved the Clooney one and the Val Kilmer one because I was so young when those came out that I was just like, they were made to advertise toys, and I bought all the toys. I loved them. Then The Dark Knight comes out, the whole trilogy. That is still to this day my favorite movie of all time, The Dark Knight. Love Christian Bale in that role. Don't even hate Ben Affleck in those movies. Didn't love the movies, but I thought he was okay. He had good performance. But my all-time favorite Batman is the Kevin Conroy Batman from Batman, the animated series. You take any medium, take the video game Batman, you take the comic Batman, whatever. If I'm reading a Batman comic book, I'm reading Batman in Kevin Conroy's voice. It's just how it is. It'll always come through to me in that. So Kevin Conroy would be like my number one Batman. Clem, who would be your number one Batman?
I was going to go with Christian Bale because I think the Dark Knight is probably my top 5 favorite movies. And that's someone that none of the other Batmans fit into that range, but I almost want to say Will Arnett in the Lego Batman because I just love that. That's the Batman I'd want to hang out with the most because the other ones, I mean, they all have issues, let's be honest, right? But that one seems a little more fun than the rest. But Bale is my number one, and I wish they had done I wish he had done like 5 Batmans, because I love the origin story, and I love the whole way where it got a little more realistic and modern age. I think they did a good job bringing Batman into kind of the modern world. The key, like we said on the commentaries with your brother, so much of those old Batmans, which I think mirrors the comic books, you're like modern day, but then it's like you're living in the past and like the 30s, and then you're coming back to the present, and it's like I can never pin down where it is, which is I think what they're trying to do with Gotham. But personally, my favorite iteration of basically the whole series was the Bale era. I didn't love the third one as much as I was hoping I would like. Bane and Doomsday, when those guys go on screen, I want to fear them because I feared them in the comic books, and I just didn't fear Bane as much as I wanted to. But Bale, in terms of Batmans, Bale's my dude.
Jose, who's your favorite Batman? Any medium, could be comic as well.
Jose, you're going to go something I've never even heard of right now. I can't wait to hear it. There's this Batman in Argentina, limited run.
In terms of medium of like watching it on a screen, I think Kevin Conroy is like here, and then there's this massive gap, and then like Christian Bale and everyone is number 2. Like any of those individuals, I would probably put number 2. Like even like Jeremy Sisto from like Justice League New Frontier, like Roger Craig Smith, I think did the Arkham series. Bruce Greenwood, I know, did Under the Hood. Like all of those Batman voices are great. Kevin Conroy is the guy. My girlfriend actually got me a cameo by him too, because I wasn't a fan of the Joker movie, like the Joaquin Phoenix, and she got him to like kind of crap on the Joker movie in a cameo.
Oh, hell yeah.
Just as a joke, and I still have that to this day. He's like, "Hey Jose," I'm just like, "Oh my god, 8-year-old Jose is freaking out right now." So Kevin Conroy is the voice. But in terms of my favorite, I have 2. Neil Adams Batman from the 80s, the comic book run, and then Tim Sale's Batman. He did Long Halloween, and all of those. I think those are my 2 favorite artists that have drawn Batman. Obviously, like shout out to like Bill Finger, specifically Bill Finger. We're not going to mention Bob Kane much this whole time because that dude
he's been mentioned enough.
That dude is a turd. Bill Finger for life. So but Neil Adams, I think specifically was what a lot of what got me. That was because everyone paints Frank Miller in this group where he is the quote unquote one that made Batman gritty and everything. That's not true. That's Neil Adams. He did that first, and then Frank Miller kind of took it to another level, but he wouldn't have existed without Neil Adams. So I think Neil Adams doesn't get enough credit. So Neil Adams and Tim Sale are my 2 favorite Batman artists. Tim Sale is like top 5 artists in general, but his Batman is a thing of art.
So amazing. And you got to be excited, being that this movie is partially based on The Long Halloween. Matt Reeves straight up came out and said the 3 main inspirations for this movie are The Long Halloween, Batman Year One, and then the third one is not as big a comic book as the other 2, definitely not as big as the other 2, Ego and Other Tales, which is a Batman and Catwoman story, I believe. I'm sure Jose has it on the shelf back there as he looks behind him. Jose, can you tell us a little bit about Ego and Other Tales, being that I feel like most people know Year One, it's iconic. Most people know The Long Halloween as like the definitive Batman detective story. That's what I would call it. I would say it's the greatest like single. If I were saying like this is Batman to someone in a comic book, it would be The Long Halloween. So what is Ego and Other Tales?
Ego and Other Tales, and I want to give a specific shout out to I'm holding it right here for people just listening. I think Darwin Cook, the illustrator of this, he also did New Frontier. He's done a lot for the Spirit. He did the Parker books. He did the Rorschach run for the Before Watchmen. He is, in every definition of the word, a genius when it comes to comic book. He has he has since passed. That was like a big blow to the comic book scene, I think in like 2013 or something like that. But he is a god in this scene. He has done lectures that in college classes that everyone needs to watch, not if you're a comic book fan. But Ego and Other Tales is specifically, it's a lot of short stories, and it is dealing with Batman sort of like inner demons, I want to say. Like there's the specific one, like the really famous one is Batman having a conversation. It's basically Bruce Wayne having a conversation with Batman. Similar to like when we were talking about Moon Knight, where Mark Spector was having a conversation with the Egyptian god in his mind. Like you'll see, and I'm sure you'll like, this is terrible viewing for the audience, but it's like Bruce Wayne is like talking to what appears to be like a Hulk-sized Batman, and it's all in his head. So he's like having these inner turmoil. There's a fantastic Two-Face storyline that's in black and white. Darwin Cook is a very pulpy artist. Like his iterations of any comic book character would fit in any decade ever, in any genre. He is, like I said, an absolute master at his craft. So it's hard to describe this storyline, these stories, but I know there's, and
That's
in the back
interesting, because
there
I
is,
thought it was just one big book. It's little stories, which is now it's like even opens my mind up to which stories did he take from that?
it's not,
Which
they're not
ones
even
are Matt
all
Reeves trying to pull
just,
from?
they're not even all just Batman. Like there's there's like a Selena Kyle story in here, and Bruce Wayne is not in it. Like she goes overseas, and she teams up with some other heroes. Like it's not even just Darwin Cook. There's a lot of other, like Tim Sale does a Batman and Catwoman story in here, which is like since been really famous. But this is a lot of short stories. But the most popular one is very beginning. I believe it is called Ego, and that's the one where Batman is having that conversation. Yeah. Batman Ego is where he's having a conversation. Bruce Wayne is like talking to the Batman creature in his head. That is peak writing, and that's Darwin Cook's best Batman story.
That's awesome. You also mentioned Selena Kyle being specifically excited to see this version of her in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What did you mean by that? That you think they're diving into like the more interesting aspects of her character?
Well, Selena Kyle obviously has a lot of origin stories, unlike the Joker, who doesn't really have one. This Selena Kyle from the trailer that I've seen, it seems to be the Selena Kyle from the Year One story arc, where she was like a street level prostitute, but she was also kind of like the protector. Like she was the one trained in hand-to-hand combat. So if anyone got handsy with any of the girls, she would kind of put them in their place. And then obviously she's grown out of that. The current Bat and the Cat storyline right now by Tom King is kind of diving into that a little bit. That kind of went off the rails. It started off really good, and then I was like, just too many inner monologues for my liking, which has kind of become Tom King's thing. But yeah, it's I'm excited because we haven't really seen that part of Selena. Because Selena Kyle's we've seen are the who played her in Batman in the
Anne Hathaway,
Michelle Pfeiffer, Michelle
Pfeiffer,
right?
and Anne Hathaway,
yeah. So Michelle Pfeiffer was kind of like, like the single woman that didn't, like, eventually she's like, I don't need a man, and then she like literally got like bitten by a bunch of cats and got like 9 lives. Very silly, but so be it. And then the Anne Hathaway one was more of like the exotic jewel thief that a lot of people remember from the Batman the animated series. But this Selena Kyle, I've always kind of in my mind retconned it where this is where she started and then she made her way out. So the Selena Kyle we see as this exotic jewel thief has the same origin story as this street level prostitute. She just escaped that world. So I'm excited to see this Selena Kyle on the screen, because it also looks like she has like a very rudimentary outfit, kind of like the Daredevil in season 1 of the Netflix series, where it's kind of just like thrown together. So I'm excited.
It looked like just the creases of her like beanie kind of make the cat ears, and I thought that was awesome. Like it's almost like how in The Dark Knight Rises it was Anne Hathaway would flip up her goggles and they made cat ears. Like I like the little details like that. I also saw in one of the bat suits he has like just straps that he tightens around his forearms, and he has 3 straps that come out almost like the Batman spikes. And I'm like, oh shit, it's like an early version of the spikes. All of that little stuff, the little details that they could put in the movie, that just builds the bigger universe. That builds the franchise. Like that stuff that we like to see paid off in the MCU, the little stuff like that. Another thing I'm excited for in this that Clem touched on is Gotham City appears to be its own universe again, its own identity it has again. I love The Dark Knight. I love The Dark Knight Rises, but you watch those and you're like Chicago, Pittsburgh, Newark, and you could kind of spot like where they shot all those movies. I like when Gotham is its own shithole where you're like, what the fuck? Like Clem said, is this the 50s? Are there blimps in the sky or is this the future? Like what are we even looking at? And it looks like they're chasing that down. And it also looks like when we're getting the 7 comparisons, that's where I see it the most in the trailers, like the visuals of it. The dark rain, the score behind it, the Michael Giacchino, is that how you say his last name? I don't know. He's done Spider-Man. He's directing Werewolf by Night, I think. I mean, this guy's on a roll, but I'm really excited to see Gotham again.
Yeah, I'm pretty hyped for that. I am a big fan of the Batman the Animated Series Gotham. It looks like it's just inside of a snow globe, or
Yeah.
the Batman movie with the Penguin and the Catwoman that we were talking about, or even the Michael Keaton, like the first two Michael Keaton ones, I should say. I very much like that. It looks like you're just on a movie set. It's very gothic. I wasn't a big fan of Gotham in the Christian Bale run because it looked that could, like, Batman and like Gotham needs to, it's like a living entity, and that just looked like any generic city. Because Gotham, because everyone doesn't really know where Gotham is in the comic books. It is New Jersey. Like Gotham City is in New Jersey in the comic books.
Shout out Jersey, Jersey
there you go.
reppin'.
We got him going now, Jose. Here we go. Jersey Bob coming out.
That's why all those goons on the top of buildings are like, it's the Bat. And that's why they talk
Yeah.
like that, because they're a bunch of Jersey Guidos.
There you go. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited to see if Batman, it's like the Gotham in this modern retelling where it's a little more high tech. Like, but Gotham has been cleaned up a bit by the Wayne family.
And that's the thing is those Keatons, it was also Tim Burton who just makes everything weird and about death.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see a Gotham version that isn't Tim Burton, but still is, trying to find its way to, the comic, or just finding that very unique flavor it has. And you said it, Bob, with the Bat. I have to say this is someone with, again, very limited brain power. But the fact that they're naming this the Batman, it always throws it off when I'm trying to discuss it or write about it. And then it's like I have the Batman, and it's like the game. Yep. Remember the game? And it's like, no, it's like I call him game. No, he's named the game. This is called the Batman. I'm like, God damn it. Just take the away. It's really fucking me up right now. So I just had to let that one off my chest.
I sat next to the game at Nobu Malibu. Famously, I sat next to the game and I overheard him. I was eavesdropping on his whole conversation, say that he got COVID at a strip club, but he was cool with it because his fee was very, very big that night. I know what his fee was, but I don't feel like out in a game on my mom's basement. But afterwards, we both got up and like took pictures of our girlfriends like next to each other. I was like, look at this, me in the game, standing next to each other, just guys being dudes,
Celebrities just like us.
I saw him. He was trending today. Actually, he was trending because he said Kanye did more for him in the last 2 weeks than Dre did for him in his whole career. Which clearly he's just salty about not being invited to the Super Bowl still. But it was tough for my friend the game. Jose, big question for you on behalf of all of the listeners. I think, what are the best Riddler / Catwoman / Penguin comic books that come to mind for you? They don't have to obviously all be in a comic book together, but those three villains, those three members of Batman's Rogues Gallery are going to be in this movie. What would be the comic books that you would recommend to people with those three?
Well, if you're going to do the Riddler, I think you would you'd be remiss not to include Hush right at the top.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the one. Like, we're not talking about the movie because I think the movie is like generally just like a travesty. It's generally awful. It made me visibly ill. Catwoman When in Rome is a Tim Sale one. I think that's his best Catwoman arc, and Riddler is in it. And you get a lot of like that because the Riddler in this one is kind of a nerdy like frumpy guy. So it is kind of fun to see like the because Tim Sale draws women very uniquely. Like, he has a specific way of drawing women, and so it's very the whole comic book takes place in Rome. It's, if you've read Long Halloween and Dark Victory, it's kind of the gap in, like, because have you read Long Halloween, Robbie?
Of course. Long Halloween I have. Dark Victory I haven't, because I read things that were like, it kind of stinks, and I was like, all right, then I don't want to ruin Long Halloween in my mind.
No, fuck that. Dark Victory is fantastic. Like,
oh, all right.
Ignore
I'll listen to
everybody.
you over those people. Yeah.
Ignore Dark Victory is.
Dark
Victory is not as good as Long Halloween, but I generally think it is integral to the arc. All like, right. It kind of closes it up. But in Long Halloween, when Selena Kyle, remember she leaves Bruce Wayne for a bit and comes back, Tim Sale draws Catwoman When in Rome, which is where she went during that run. So I think that one is really good. And then obviously Batman Year One is great. The Darwin Cook does a pretty fantastic Catwoman run as well. There's not a lot of great Penguin arcs that come to mind. He's mostly like in the Batman the Animated Series, when it was like, it's like him and other people is what I should say. Like, that story.
It's like the super famous one. Yeah.
Well, that's the best Batman the Animated Series. Not like, that's the best one behind what Heart of Ice. It's like those
Heart of Ice is that's for me. Yeah. But there's even a good one. I've got Batman in my basement. Speaking of my mom's basement.
yeah, you're not wrong.
Penguin traps, and that's a good one.
Yeah, there is Birds of a Feather from the Batman the Animated Series. That one is really good.
Yep.
He does a little bit in Birds of Prey. There's an Emperor Penguin one. Joker's Asylum Penguin is a good one. Batman Earth one is all right, but there's significantly better Riddler and Catwoman stories than there are Penguin.
Which is funny you said
it too, because like on the big screen, Penguin's been awesome. Danny DeVito, Colin Farrell looks great. Even in the '66 series, Penguin was great.
It's funny you say all these bird titles because Robbie didn't know penguins were birds about 2 weeks ago. We thought they were mammals.
Listen, it was a brain lapse. We were just talking about favorite mammals, and I was thinking about animals that I love, and I was like birds, and I said penguins, and he said, "Well, I said bird." Yeah, I wrote down some. Moving away from that topic, I wrote down some great Batman the Animated Series episodes that involve Catwoman and the Riddler. So if you're looking for Catwoman episodes, obviously the beginning of the series, the Cat in the Claw 2-parter, Catwalk is another great episode. Batgirl Returns, which is a lot of Batgirl and Selena talking back and forth, which is great. And then one that's super underrated, a part of the new Batman Adventures, Cult of the Cat, where Catwoman's like redesigned and she looks different, but it's cool. I think it's cool. Her and Batman like discover a cult. And then the Riddler, there's If You're So Smart, Why Aren't You Rich? What is Reality? And Riddler's Reform. All three of those are pretty good Edward Nygma episodes. Did you like Jim Carrey's rendition of the Riddler, Jose? I'm a fan because I grew up with it. I don't know how comic book people feel.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I think that because you kind of when I kind of ingest Batman content, it's just that that Riddler was perfect for that Batman world. I should say that Riddler would not work in other Batman, but like on the flip side, like the Heath Ledger Joker would not work in the Tim Burton Batman. So for that movie, I think Jim Carrey nailed it.
Yeah, I like you said, it like that world and like that time of the world too, where everything was kind of bigger than life, and you had like I feel like a lot of the stuff, like I think we said it. Actually, no, we didn't even do a podcast about that movie, at least not yet. Is I feel like a lot of the stuff they did was for like, all right, how are we going to sell this in Happy Meals? How are we going to do this? You know, put this on toy store shelves. And Jim Carrey's made for that kind of shit. And as someone who's like Ace Ventura was my favorite movie growing up. Like I everything Jim Carrey did, I adored. But I am very excited to see because, like you said, I've seen Penguin in a few different ways. I've seen Catwoman in a few different ways, but the Riddler this way seems such a different take than what we've seen as him. That's the thing I'm most excited about heading into this movie. Because again, we've said a million times, like great villains are what kind of makes the movies for a lot of these superheroes. We've seen these heroes a million fucking times. Batman's going to be bummed his parents are dead. He's going to be rich. He's going to fight the fucking dichotomy battle inside him. Yada, yada, yada. We know all that. It's the villains. And that's why I think, you know, obviously Heath Ledger gets brought up in such like hollow tones around, you know, everyone because he crushed that role. And that's why Thanos, like with Infinity War, right? Like that's all we've talked about. It's the big T, man. I still love the fucking guy, even though he wiped off half the living creatures in the universe, including penguins. So the Riddler's this is gonna be like the anti-Jim Carrey, which is gonna be very interesting, right? Like I feel like
it's crazy. The evolution of the Riddler on screen goes from the 1966 Riddler, who in the first episode of the Adam West Batman series calls in a fake robbery. Is like, Batman, there's a robbery coming here. You got to get here quick. Batman shows up, sees the Riddler, punches him in the face, and he's like, you're not going to steal this. And the Riddler's like, I'm chilling at home. And he files a court order to Batman for assault to try to find out what Batman's real name is. He's like, he's going to have to sign court documents, and you can't sign it as the Batman. And that is where he's the Zodiac killer. It's like it goes from Jim Carrey to like, all right, he's a little less goofy and a little more twisted with Jim Carrey. And then he's straight up murdering people and appears to be the scariest duct taping fool we've ever seen.
You said Seven, like, you know, the Seven vibes and all this shit. I almost want a little bit of True Detective vibes too, because like season one, that's all I really watch. I could dig some
and
of that
like the world's greatest detective stuff. We saw a little bit of it in The Dark Knight. We saw a little bit of it in that trilogy, but like Batman is the world's greatest detective. We need to see film noir style detective work.
The best Batman is when he's a detective. That is every good Batman story arc. That is his bread and butter. Like. Everyone loves the Dark Knight like trilogy with Christian Bale. There was not enough grappling guns and there was not enough detective work.
Grappling guns.
I was real disappointed in that.
I almost don't even want to bring it up because I know my guy's just going to get buried with you two on the podcast. But one of our guys here, Carl, had a question like, who would win in a fight, Batman or Iron Man? And someone brought up that like Batman is the world's greatest detective. He would figure out a way to do this. He was doing. I'm like, God damn it, I forgot he's the world's greatest detective. So
World's greatest.
More of that.
Batman would be like if you put a list of like the 100 most powerful like superheroes, and I'm saying superheroes. I'm not putting like Odin and gods and like those type of things. If you make a list of the 100 most powerful superheroes, Batman beats almost all of them. Solely because of
plan.
He's
got a plan for everything.
And he is a little OP at times. Like I like as much as people whine for no reason that Superman is too powerful, Batman is way too good at his job in the comic books. Like the House of Babel run where he took out all of the Justice League. Is
that
very
the run
silly.
where they kick him out of the Justice League at first because they find out that he had plans to kill all of them? Am I thinking the right thing?
Yeah, so there was the movie based off of House of Babel. It's the animated movie. I don't remember what the movie's called, but yeah, pretty much. Batman has a contingency plan for every single superhero just in case they go bad. And someone hacks
and
the
they kick him
Batcave.
out. They're like, "Fuck you, Batman! What the fuck?"
And Batman was like, "Okay, like this needed to be done. I'm not sorry." And that's how Batman
is. I'm a
a
human. What the fuck? And then like Green Lantern, doesn't he turn bad in that? And then it's like, well, that's why I had the fucking contingency plan, bro.
Also, people that whine and don't, and because some people don't consider Batman a superhero because he doesn't have superpowers, like Green Lantern doesn't have superpowers either. He needs a ring. Just like Iron Man needs armor. And technically Thor needed his hammer for a hot minute in the early days. So like let's pump the brakes on that argument.
Don't you guys come at Jose with that weak shit. He will fucking
I will take no Batman slurs here.
Jose, question for you about sequels here. What comic book would you like to see adapted as a sequel to this movie? Obviously, we kind of know what we're getting with the Batman from the trailers. We know we're not getting, I don't know, No Man's Land or like Nightfall or something like that with this.
God,
or Death in the Family, rather. But like, which storyline would you like to see adapted?
Wow, that is an interesting question.
Or what villains even?
If it's No Man's Land, I'm going to walk out. Because that is an atrocious comic book series.
That sucks for me because I bought that in high school. I liked it in high school. Yeah, I was a big fan.
Man, that was wow, that is a really good question. I would say probably the Court of Owls story arc from like the last 10 or so years. I think that one was like the last. Well, no, there's obviously been really good Batman arcs since, but I think that was so masterfully written, and it was like, you know how I said that Batman's a little OP at times, and he just kind of always wins. This was a secret society that kind of beat Batman mentally and physically and took over the city. So Batman was broken about as much as you can after his like breaking his back by Bane and everything. So probably that one, because it also dives into the history of Gotham, like dating back to the creation of it and the Waynes. You get a lot of Wayne lore. So probably that, because it will let. I think that would be a fantastic movie. It would really let all of the actors stretch their acting chops, and the directors would really get to tell a beautiful story fleshed out in Gotham. So I think that one would be a really good one. And then
even just visually, like, could you imagine Batman in a dark room and then all those owl masks, you see them start appearing?
Right.
Like, and that's something that both Matt Reeves and I think Robert Pattinson expressed interest in doing in the future. They're like, we love the Scott Snyder Court of Owls story.
Yeah, Scott Snyder is like goated in my mind as like the best Batman.
Awesome.
He's top
I
five.
love Greg Capullo's art as well.
Oh yeah, he's way up there for best artist. But like, if we're just talking like that one would probably make the best movie and like critically. But if you're just looking for like a silly goose time, I think Batman Europa would be kind of funny, where Batman and the Joker both have a disease and they have to figure, they both have the same disease and they don't know how they got it. So they have to like travel to Europe to figure out where so they're basically like good cop, bad cop with Batman and the Joker. Jim Lee drew the first issue, and then that one is really good. Batman, Bruce Wayne Murderer and Fugitive would be a really good one. Oh, Black Mirror would be fantastic. But that's the Dick Grayson Batman.
Black Mirror. Oh, interesting. I like the Dick Grayson Batman with Damian Wayne at his side.
Yes. So Batman, so Bruce Wayne, quote unquote, dies in Batman RIP, which would be another really good Batman but that would make a very bizarre movie. And Dick Grayson takes over as Batman. So, but they're basically, but no one knows that. So everyone just kind of assumes it's the same Batman. And Robbie, you've read Batman Year One. Barbara Gordon is Commissioner Gordon's daughter? Does he have a daughter in that book? No, he does not. He has a little boy in Batman Year One. And did they ever talk about him again? Not until Black Mirror. They brought him back and they explains that he's a crazy man who's basically on level of the Gordon's son, who is a bad guy. He's evil. He's a psycho, like crazier than he's like on Joker Riddler level. Like he's a insane murderer. But he comes back and he's like healed because he went somewhere, but he's not really healed. And he brings in the Joker, and there's like a lot of other like villains. So that one is again a very good detective story. Dick Grayson there's this secret society that it's a very, very, very fascinating single issue for this whole arc where they like raffle off weapons or like memorabilia from crimes. And when he crashes, it's oddly enough, they're bidding on the crowbar that killed Jason Todd.
Oh shit. That is dark.
It's very dark. And so Dick Grayson like uses it to like escape. Like he takes it and like breaks a window and like zip lines. It's very interesting. And then there's a really, really fantastic scene where Joker is fighting the Dick Grayson Batman, and no one knows that Batman that obviously who's who, but Joker's like, you're not Batman. Like, yeah, Joker knows. He's like, you smell like a little bird. And I was like, damn, that is A+ writing.
That's
right
fucking
there.
Thanos calling Spider-Man an insect.
Yeah, so that probably one of those two, because Black Mirror was very dark. Very, very dark.
I also feel like it wasn't listed as one of the ones that this was inspired by, but when you watch the trailers and you see Thomas Wayne, or when you see the Riddler being like, it all goes back to Thomas Wayne, it goes back to the Wayne's history, Bruce, whatever. It gave me Hush vibes almost of like, is the Riddler in this going to be someone that knew Bruce previously, that knew Bruce as a child or something like that? Like, why does he know so much about the Waynes?
So the Waynes, the last like few years, especially like the Court of Owls series or the Batman Ends Game, oddly enough,
they made Batman Endgame. They called it Endgame.
Well, it came out before the Avengers Endgame movie, actually, like significantly before. Batman Endgame is so Death of the Family, because there's Death in the Family, which is the one where Jason Todd is killed, and then there's Death of the Family, which
I was reading and buying that like as it came out. That was my like buying single issues phase, and I loved that. I liked the Joker with his face ripped off and put back on with a fucking leather strap. That's actually, if you're going to bring the Joker into a universe going forward, I'm a little Jokered out. If you're going to do it, though, do the Joker that got his face ripped off, I think.
So that Joker one, because at the end of the Batman Death of the Family, when he throws himself off the cliff because Batman says he figures out who the Joker is, that Joker comes back in Endgame, and it's actually it's brilliant how they bring him back. There's this doctor that has been helping Batman like for a lot of issues. Like he's not he is a new character in the last like 10 or so years, but he's an established character. And they go into this old abandoned asylum. It might even be Arkham. I can't remember. And he's like, Batman's like investigating something. And then the door closes behind him. And then Batman's like, what are you doing? And then the doctor, who has been there, like wipes his face and like takes his hair off. And it's been the Joker the whole time. And it's fantastic. And that Joker also, there's this Justice League, like the Justice League is fighting, and there's this something is happening, like there's someone controlling some mastermind is doing something, and Batman can't figure it out, and the Justice League are like fighting all of these people, and then Superman like punches this thing, and he just goes like, ha, and then Wonder Woman starts to laugh, and then Green Lantern starts to laugh, and then the Flash starts to laugh, and then Batman's like, oh no, like it can't be, and then it's like the Joker was the guy pulling the strings the whole time, and he's Jokerized all of the Justice League. So that also comes back. And then there's the Pale Man in the background where they're kind of showing the building of Gotham, like the history of Gotham. And there's always this man in the back of these pictures that looks like the Joker
Pennywise?
with pale skin. Yeah, pretty much. And so then there's this thing like, is Joker actually immortal? Like, did he know Batman's like great parents? And then there's like something in his spinal fluid that can like de-age people. It's very interesting. And I thought that the Three Jokers storyline that came out like a year or so ago was gonna like expand on that, and it failed miserably. And that's like the worst Batman story of like the last 10 years, I would say. But yeah, Endgame would be a really interesting one to bring in the Joker as well.
That's funny because I was trying to figure out like which villains you guys want to see next, or kind of maybe at the end of this one, and it's like the reveal for the next one, like a cliffhanger. And I mean, for like you said, there's almost guys I know more of what I don't want to see. I don't want to see Joker again. I think we like the guys we've kind of seen recently. Ra's al Ghul, I think, would be cool, kind of to bring him back and give him his own kind of thing, even though I thought it was already done. I guess like out of the bigger ones that are like a common fan like me would know, like I feel like Poison Ivy only was in it once, so you could bring her back at some point, right?
I think you could do cool stuff. I did the direct podcast this week, and I mentioned her as someone you could do really cool like CGI stuff with nowadays, of like vines wrapping over Batman and it looking kind of creepy and scary. And I also am a huge mark for the animated series Mr. Freeze. We only got the Arnold Mr. Freeze. If they treated that really seriously and made him, I've seen people suggest online like a cryo terrorist. I'm so down for that. Like that wants to save his wife in some way. I feel like a real Mr. Freeze. And I would cast former Alfred Jeremy Irons as Mr. Freeze. I feel like that would be fucking badass.
I would want Christoph Waltz to play.
Ooh,
See,
all right.
the only casting better maybe because he can't get better than Christoph Waltz.
Well, and there's also like in the last few years, like the Batman White Knight storyline where Mr. Freeze is kind of has like Nazi technology because Nazis were trying to like cryo freeze people, and then it turns out one of the Waynes was like a secret scientist for the Nazis building this cryo technology to like freeze people and make them immortal, and then you could do that to Gotham. So that's like a whole.
Poor
like,
fucking Bruce Wayne, man. His parents get shot in that alleyway, and he's like, I want to cling on to any memories I have of the Waynes. And every time he tries to find out more about his family tree, he finds pieces of shit in his family tree. The guy can't catch a break.
I think Clayface would be a really good villain. So would
that would be crazy too.
I think Man Bat would be a really good one because I think we haven't had a horror Batman movie yet, and I would really enjoy a horror themed Batman. Or if you just want to do like something real cyberpunky, like currently, I think Prometheus would be a really good one. So Prometheus he got really big in the No Man's Land era where kind of Batman was a little all over the place, and he was this villain that could download data into his brain. So he had aesthetically he was very cool, and he lived in the Phantom Zone. He had a pocket dimension in the Phantom Zone in his crooked house, and he had his cybernetic staff and everything. It looked kind of like a knight, and like a purple cape and everything. So when I say he could download things into his brain, like he could download Batman's fighting style into his brain.
Oh, so like it's Taskmaster.
Like Task or like Neo, where he's like, I know Kung Fu, like that. Like all of a sudden, like he downloads it and he's like, boom, I can do this. So like there's so like in the JLA Avengers art storyline where like they took all the Marvel and DC heroes and did it. There's like this big epic battle at the beginning and at the end, and Prometheus fights Captain America, and Captain America's like, God damn, this guy is really good at fighting. It's because he downloaded Batman's technology. And if we're doing the Hush route, Prometheus teams up with Hush because they're hunting the Riddler, because the Riddler finds out who actually killed the Joker's wife, or quote unquote actually killed his wife. So Prometheus has some good line, and there's a whole arc where he does single-handedly take out all of Justice League by himself.
Oh my god.
I was gonna say, like, this feels like it could get into some cryptocurrency, NFT shit. This new Batman world we're getting, they're probably not gonna be dabbling in.
He downloads all of the Wayne's crypto to his brain, and he's like, I bankrupted you. Yeah.
People didn't like Prometheus. I thought it was kind of a breath of fresh air to like have someone that could fight Batman, but like there was nothing Batman could do to stop him because he could just do whatever he wanted.
That does sound cool to me. I want to look this guy up. I want to see his picture. Before we get out of here.
He looks like a knight. Cool. I did not see that coming at all. Holy shit! No. Yeah. All right, cool. Hold on. Now I can see this.
He would be a fun villain. I don't know if you could carry a whole movie, but I think if they're going to do a Hush or a Riddler or anything, I think Prometheus would make like how Taskmaster was in the Black Widow movie, just kind of like the number one henchman, if that makes sense.
Muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, he would be a really good muscle guy for like someone above him.
Let's do all around the bold prediction for this movie. We'll all make a prediction for the movie before we get out of here. And then I guess we'll see what came true on Friday or on Tuesday if you're fucking Clem.
Wow.
This guy's going to be seeing it. By the time this
fan.
podcast comes out on Wednesday, Clem will have already seen it. So my bold prediction, I kind of revealed earlier. There's a lot of rumors about Barry Keoghan or whatever his name is from the Eternals being the Joker in this movie. There was rumors about it months ago, and then apparently he was on a casting list where he was listed as unnamed Arkham prisoner, and he had his own makeup artist. So people were like, why would an unnamed prisoner need his own makeup artist? My prediction is that if they bring the Joker into this movie, he's got his face ripped off and put back on with a fucking leather strap. And he is the death of the family Joker, and that will be the future. That's kind of the thing that blows people's minds where they're like, what the fuck is that? Because it blew people's minds in the comic book when he held up that classic cover of him holding up the face and you just see his eye looking through it. Creepy shit. Clem?
I'm like, I wanted to see Jose like compute all that in his brain as he was going.
I wouldn't hate it.
This was like, I was gonna say, what's the number one thing you want to see? That was like, so this is in my head for that. I guess it'll double as my prediction. It sounds a lot worse after Bob's was very serious. We're going to have some sort of moment with Catwoman, and it's going to, like we said, James Gunn's not involved in it, but is Batman going to go down on Catwoman? There'll be something that no one will be able to pick apart about Batman going down on Catwoman once and for all. I'm going to throw that out there because I just hope it happens. Just because I'm just going to be honest, boys. Last 2 years, it's no secret, it sucked, right? Everything has sucked the last 2 years plus. I miss the times when we were debating if Ant-Man was going to fly up Thanos' ass. That's the kind of shit I need back in my life. I need meme culture coming back. We got the Spider-Man pointing at each other. Spoiler alert. We got that little picture. I need the memes being brought back into my timeline, into my world. I need happiness. The timeline is nothing but sadness and fear. I need fucking Batman with fucking Catwoman above him and just people connecting like idiots like me, and we have some fun memeing. So that's what I'm going to say. That's what I'm hoping for, at least. That's not a prediction as much as I hope.
If there's a makeout scene, it would be funny if Batman just like starts to make his way lower and they just cut away.
Yeah. Or she pushes his head down. He's like, no, honey, don't do that. Now, I'm sorry, Jose, if that was your dad. I apologize if I took what you were going to say.
Hey, if any of that happens, I think, Twitter will probably explode, and that will be the talking point of the year.
Yeah. Well, look, I look like a fucking prophet. My mom's basement to the moon if that happens.
Oh man,
Jose, what do you got? Big prediction for the movie.
I think we're gonna get another. Wow, how would I describe this? Like, there's gonna be a lot of bombs placed all over Gotham, probably, and I think it's gonna set up 0 year because it seems like there's gonna be a flood scene, and I don't.
That has
just
been in the trailers, yeah.
Yeah, so if that's the case, they're probably going to set up 0 year, which is like Batman, quote unquote, like dies, but he doesn't really die and leaves Gotham for a bit. And when he comes back, he basically has to relearn how to fight crime in New Gotham. I think that would be just killer for like a sequel, a direct sequel of like Batman relearning how to be Batman in this. Because like you guys all said, like this is going to be like this new iteration of Batman, where it's all technology based and everything. And in 0 year, that's basically what happens. Batman comes back. He's like, I'm getting too old for this. I can't keep up with these young people anymore.
Am I thinking of the right thing? It's like the new 52 Batman where he's got like a backpack. He's kind of got the
he does.
yellow. He's got the yellow thing around.
He has the bow and arrow. He has the bow and arrow and everything.
I like that Batman a lot. That was sick.
That was a fantastic Batman. So I bet they set something up like that. I don't think they're going to just go full 0 year. It's probably going to be an amalgamation of arcs, but I think they're going to take elements of 0 year.
There's a flood coming, Mr. Wayne. That's what we need. Call her right now, Jose. I like it.
I love it.
And if he goes down on her, there's another flood coming.
Lord.
Look at that. Hope the kids were not in the basement for that one. All right. This was the Batman preview podcast. If you're listening on Wednesday and you haven't seen the movie, it comes out tomorrow on Thursday. The first showings are at 3 p.m. wherever you are in the country, which is crazy. Used to be 7, now it's 3. And we will come at you with a Batman review on Friday. So look out for that. If you're not seeing the movie, don't listen to the review yet because there will be spoilers and whatnot in it. But I'm looking forward to this. Batman is back, and it feels good to be enthralled in the hype.
And no one tweet me anything.
No one tweeted
Monday
anything.
morning.
Monday morning.
I've muted as much as I can. I won't be able to see it till Sunday night. I get back Sunday, and I'm basically going straight to the movies. I'm like
Yeah,
dropping
Jose
my
doesn't
suitcase on
deserve
and going
that.
to the
Nobody
movies.
give him spoilers.
As the
Same,
biggest
Unless-
same thing goes for me. If you see it on Tuesday, do not tweet me. You could say like it was a good movie, but don't give me any details.
As the
Yeah, we'll
biggest
come
Batman
break Rick.
as the biggest Batman fan on this podcast, I'm asking you guys, please, not just tweet these guys spoilers for slacking a few days.
All right, and if you
also-
made it to the episode, a hashtag. Let's get a hashtag.
Hashtag the Batman podcast. The Batman preview.
the Batman preview.
Yeah, the Batman
Right.
preview. And then comment if you're in the YouTubes, comment the number one thing you want to see in this movie, whether it's floods, people going down on each other, Joker faces popping out, all three. We can get fucking crazy with it. I don't know. We're in Gotham. Anything goes.